All right, welcome to Business Express for a Thursday morning, the 22nd of September, 2022. Now, as usual, Rotus Odiri is in with us. Good morning to you, Rotus.
Good morning, Victor. Good morning to all our listeners out there, all our viewers, and of course, our special guest from Stanbic IBTC.
All right. Of course, our guest on the show today is an equities trader with Stanbic IBTC Stockbrokers. Onyinye Idume-Igariwey is our guest. Good morning, Onyinye.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on the show. Good morning.
Thank you so much for being a part of the show today. In fact, we're discussing capital markets review with Stanbic IBTC. We're also going to touch on President Buhari calling for outright debt cancellation for developing countries. Also, we'll try to touch on ASU, the courts telling ASU to call off her strike. Let's see if we can touch on all of this before the end of the conversation today. But you listening can be part of the show. Sending messages to us on WhatsApp. WhatsApp is 0809 444 981. We're on Twitter at Smooth981FM. And we're streaming live at the moment on YouTube. It's Smooth981FM Lagos. Rotus, let's get this conversation started.
All right, thank you so much. Yeah, so President Buhari is in New York and he was addressing the United Nations General Assembly and was saying that they should consider debt cancellation for developing economies because there are so many challenges that they're facing right now, from COVID to the Russia invasion of Ukraine. Their fiscal structures are being, stretched. And so he said they should, consider striking off their debts. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think? I thought, you can ask for anything you want from anyone. Whether or not they give it to you is another situation. But what do you think? What did you make of
exactly? I was about to say that that depends on if they agree. But if they do, to provide relief to the nation as well as economic support, because really, apart from Nigeria, there are also other developing countries that are also having issues in terms of they're under pressure in terms of the level of debt they are into. So if they actually do, it would help us because usually those interests that we have paid on those debts, they can be channeled into other purposes for developing our country. But it's left to be seen what would happen after that.
Thank you so much for that. The investors that you interact with, do they ever bring up Nigeria's debts? I think what's the number? Is it 42 trillion? Yeah, 42 trillion. So does debt ever come up in your interactions with your investors that you deal with?
The truth is everyone is concerned about the debt level. It's over 42 trillion, and not just because of the level. It's the fact that the revenue that is being generated is not growing at the same rate or at the same pace in which we're accumulating debt. And these things slow down economic growth development. So everybody is actually concerned, not just the investors that we deal with, but everyone is concerned.
All right, and just a few hours ago, just yesterday, the U.S. Federal Reserve raised their benchmark rate, I think for the second or third time in a row. Are you? You're dealing with equities. Are you concerned about portfolio outflows heading back to the United States because rates are getting more attractive there?
So this hiking rate is part of the measures that this Fed is taking to curb inflation. But if you go through everything that they have said, the truth is that most global traders were already anticipating this hike. In fact, some of them were expecting more than the 75 basis points that was actually introduced last time. But the Federal Home Market Committee already said that those rate hikes usually would have consequences. So these consequences ranges from the bank charges that they would get from overnight lending rates. I know this would then filter into other rate debts, like what you have in home equity loans, what you have in credit card rates, what you have in auto financing and all that. So these things can also slow down economic growth. In fact, they've already said that they expect that economic growth to slow down based on these things. So these things will affect the decisions that investors will decide to take. So I won't be so quick to say that they'll be so fast to send their flows out, because they also have to think of all these things. They have to think of the consequences of that as well before taking their decision.
All right. Thank you for that. So anyway, speaking of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, I think it was down by 0.5% or so yesterday. But, so far this year, it's still up about, I think, 15% or so. Well, what's been your assessment of our stock exchange so far this year and its performance?
Okay, so year to date, ASI has been positive, like you said, 15.7%. So some investors themselves, they've actually recorded gains. So, everything depends on your timing. So what point you actually entered and the names of the sectors that were involved. So for instance, as our last week, the banking index year to date was actually negative 7.88%. The consumer was positive 2.85%. The oil and gas positive 54.24%. Premium index positive. When you say the premium index, you have stocks like the Zenith, they have the Access and some other names there based on corporate governance. So it depends on where you actually fall under. Then you'll be able to say, okay, if this ASI being positive is like a good thing for you, or if you're actually negative. So it depends on where your investment sits. So yeah, that would determine. But overall, yes, it's been positive.
All right. You mentioned the banking index year to date being up by about 7%. Is that still the go-to index for the exchange? What's been your view of banking stocks so far this year?
Oh no, year to date it's actually been negative.
Negative. Okay.
Yes, wow. Year to date it's actually been negative. Yeah. But depends on the names you go for. So there are some names that are long-term players. And then one thing that makes the banking sector attractive is the fact that in terms of liquidity, the ease at which you can go in and come out, and then also the consistent dividend payments. So if you look at names like Stanbic IBTC, if you look at Zenith, if you look at Access, the GT, those names consistently have been delivering in terms of dividend payments. So it's still a sector that is being or should I say, still an attractive sector to most investors, and long term, we still think that they will do well.
All right, thank you for that. And I think you mentioned consumers. You mentioned, I think, oil and gas. Are there any other, I guess, attractive sectors? Any other sectors that have caught your eye so far this year?
So far, well, I would still say, the telcos, apart from the consumer, because of the products they churn out. So of course, they would always be one of the favorites to some investors. So I'll say the telcos, apart from the oil and gas and the banking sector, because the telcos, if you recall earlier this year, some of them got their PSB licenses. We've even seen some of it reflect in the results they released, for example, an MCN, and so people still expect more from them. So let's see how that will play out in the last quarter, as well as when they release their final results. So usually, most of these companies, their year end is 31st December. So we expect that by next year, we'll begin to see something in terms of their results and probably the dividends that they will declare.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Well, yeah, I want to ask you, I want to switch to ASU now and kind of ask you a different question here. I mean, we all know the courts have ordered the ASU strike to end, and we'll see how that works out. And in terms of, we keep talking about the impact on our education levels and the kind of candidates that we're putting into the job market. Where from your own points, are you dealing with new graduates coming into the equity space as far as equities trading is concerned? Why are they getting trained? Are they getting trained in what you are doing from the university level, or is it the Stanbic training their own incoming graduates? Or what's been your view on the quality of graduates we've seen coming in, and how all this affects, the quality of candidates coming out of our schools?
The thing is, since COVID, there's been disruption in the economy, not just Nigeria, globally. So the next generation of stock traders we expect to be people that are digital savvy, people that want to get things done from the comfort of their homes. And so Stanbic IBTC, we positioned ourselves as well to take part in that. So that's part of the reasons why we have things like the zero minimum account opening balance, which we started last year. We also give online real-time trading access to our customers, so that they can be able to do things from the comfort of their home and get transactions done. So really now, the way the world is moving, we're looking out more for more digital savvy things. So really not much about what's happening in terms of like the education system and all that, but more about those that are able to use their phones, not even a laptop. With your phone, you can get things done from your mobile app and all that. So these are the initiatives that we put in place, as well as our interactive social media handles to get some more people on board. So that's what we see already coming into place, and that's where we are positioned.
Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate your insights. Yeah, Victor, what do you think of what do you make of this latest move from the courts to get the ASU to force them back into schools? You think, I was watching the, I'll send it to you. I don't know if you've seen it. The ASU president, I was watching, he gave an interview on TV about within a few hours of the decision. And I think his analogy was that whether you can, I think an analogy going around is you can force a horse to water, but you can't make it drink or something like that.
That's right.
Victor, what do you make of what's been going on?
I mean, after 7 months, I don't expect ASU to just back down easily. They have said they're going to appeal the decision. They're going to go to court. I think one of their legal counsel is Femi Falana, who of course is saying, oh, we're not going to take this sitting down. We're still going to press our demands, go to the appeal court, get further interpretation, and it's not going to end here. In fact, 2 days ago, I believe, they had a meeting with the Speaker of the House of Reps, and they had reached a conclusion, just waiting for Mr. President to approve. Meanwhile, on the other hand, the Honorable Minister of Labor and Productivity is saying, we've done it the easy way, and you guys are refusing to go back to the classroom. We're going to do it the hard way. And a lot of us had said it. If the federal government takes ASU to court, you can predict the outcome of that judgment. Of course, the industrial court will always be on the side of the federal government, irrespective of the case on the table, and we've seen how it panned out. Let's keep our fingers crossed and watch the coming days, all that will happen. But we have some messages.
All right.
Ayodeji is saying, LOL, after stealing and misappropriation of funds, very laughable. I mean, he's discussing the debt relief that Mr. President is seeking. And Otunuga Sunday says, please, how are the major market participants like you reacting to and taking the ongoing rage over the corporate governance issues surrounding NGX PLC, which the exchange itself reacted to yesterday?
Do you really want Onyinye to wade into the NGX matter when they are a player in the market? I don't know if are you going to wade into that? You're on mute. Your mic is on mute.
Okay, to be fair, they actually already released a statement on the website. That's the overall head, Oscar Oyema, and then he made clarifications on some of the statements, or rather the rumors or whatever it is that they have raised. So it's left for people to actually go check it and then decide if they still want to investigate further anything they want to do. But yes, that's all I can say.
That's the most diplomatic response. Thank you.
All right, that's about it from here.
Okay, great stuff. Yeah, look, on the debt matter, the fact that this country is still spending so much money on fuel subsidies, and what's the projection? I think our deficit is projected to be 11 or 12 trillion next year, and then fuel subsidies about 6 trillion, almost half of that. So I don't know, for Nigeria's case, I don't know if any emerging market, or rather developed market, is going to take us seriously with debt cancellation when, you would probably not be in this situation if you were spending less on fuel subsidies. Because if you do the maths, that 42 trillion naira total debt, if you spend 6 trillion a year on fuel subsidies, I think in 7 years or so, you'll get where we are with our current debt levels. I think 7 or 8 years, 42 trillion divided by 6 or something like that. So I don't know how far that's going to go. I don't know if anyone is going to take the president seriously. But that's his last UN address. No more addresses from president. A new president will be addressing the United Nations next year. So very interesting coming there. Onyinye, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate your time and your insights on the markets, and we hope to have you back.
Yes, right before, I think I can just squeeze in a message from Yinka Bolu, who says they can press for all they care. As long as the courts have instructed them to go to the classroom, they should go back. And if you're not doing your job, you'll be sacked. It's easy for Faust, the good guy, to argue with the courts. After all, Faust, the bad guy, schooled at the University of Reading.
Very true.
But thank you so much, Onyinye, for having a conversation with us today. Rotus, the main man, let's do this again tomorrow at 6:30 for a Tech Friday edition of the show. Yes. I'm sure we're going to have some more guests join us again tomorrow. All right, catch Rotus on Twitter at Rotanquote, and you can catch the visuals of the conversation live. We'll do this again tomorrow at 6:30. My name is Victor Pepple. Good morning.
Thanks.